In this video, I want to dive into, I get a lot of questions from you folks, shop that I work with, on should I be buying fractional gold? Should I be buying this? Should I be buying this in gold? I'm going to try to break it down as best as I can. Of course, it's not financial advice. I'm going to give you guys my opinion, and that's all it is. My opinion only. And I want to talk about pawn shops for a little bit, because there's a lot of bad rap about pawn shops. Some of it's true, some of it's not so true. We're going to get into that. We're going to see where the markets go tonight. I want to talk about that as well. So please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for all the ones who have just recently subscribed. I very much appreciate all of you. Thank you again. Let's just get into the video right now. Look, we're going to start with the gold. A couple of questions the past couple of days on the video. Should I be buying 10th ounce gold? Should I be buying quarter ounce gold? Half ounce gold? A full gold coin? Look, it's going to be on your budget, folks. I'll just say it again. It's budget friendly. There's going to be more of a premium when you buy smaller amounts of gold, like a 10th ounce. We're going to go through the prices, of course. I just want people to realize you do pay more when you buy fractional gold like this. And I'm going to get my 2 cents into as we go into these numbers as well. Random year ASCs. Of course, I'm going to use Pimbex prices because they are the channel sponsor. So thank you, Pimbex, for sponsoring CoinShop Chris. So let's say if you went out to Pimbex and bought 1/10 ounce gold. Okay, right now, the random years, these are all random years that I'm pricing. They are $369.99. You buy 10 of them. Maybe you bought all 10 today. Maybe you bought 10 over the last couple months. Of course, these prices are going to change with the markets. So if you bought all 10 today, you'd be paying $3,699.90 for 1 ounce of gold. Keep that in mind. Next question I'm going to ask you folks, and I don't need no answer. I just want you to answer this on yourselves. How often you spend $369.99? Let's go with me with that. Just keep that in your mind for a moment. Quarter ounce gold. Random years. American Silver Eagle still, we're still on the same type of gold. At channel sponsor Pimbex, they're $899.42. You times that by 4, you get $3,557.68. So it gets a little cheaper. You gain a little bit more gold at a time, so it gets a little bit cheaper. Again, I'll ask you this question. How often do you spend $899.42 all at one time? Again, keep that in your head for a moment. ASC half ounce. Again, random year. $1,698.07. Gotta times that by 2 to get your full ounce. That's $3,396.14. I ask you again, how often you spend $1,698.07? Follow me so far? 1 ounce gold, random gold eagles. 1 ounce, $3,337.14. So as you can see, it gets cheaper and cheaper as you move up with the gold. I'll ask you this again. How often you spend $3,337.14? Okay? This is where we are with gold, folks. Gold's getting very, very expensive. I want you to think, and I'm not trying to be doom and gloom here, but what happens when we get into a no dollar good down situation and we start really trading in silver and gold? I just want you to think about that for a moment. The dollar's gone. Just, I know it's hard to picture that, but the dollar's gone. And we are actually trading in silver and gold. How much, even a 10th ounce gold could be a lot. It could be, it can make payments for other things, just whatever the case may be. But when we're stacking metals out there, me personally, I'm not going to spend I can't remember the last time I spent $3,337 all at one time. If gold keeps shooting up in these, in dollar terms, folks, you know, and we get, you know, I don't spend that much, all right? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. So overall speaking, it is more cost effective overall to buy a 1 ounce gold coin at a time. And I understand some people can't afford that. Most of us can't afford that. That's what I'm going to go on. I'm seeing a lot more 10 ounce gold going out at the shop right now. That is what I'm seeing. 1/4 ounce. Not so much halves, not so much ounces. Yes, we're having a run on maples. For some reason, we're having a run on 1 ounce maples right now. I don't know. It's because the snowbirds are ready to go back to Canada. That do come down here for the winter. That could be part of it. It could be part of people have not caught up that there's no tariffs on silver and gold from Canada yet. That could be another part of it. I'm just trying to balance everything out. And sometimes, you know, trying to explain to people, it's not so easy. So, with this all being said, I got one more special from Pimbex. Thank you again, Pimbex, for sponsoring CoinShop Chris. They have a 10 ounce Frontier Mint frosted bar. It's a beautiful bar, folks. 10 ounces, $345.89. It's not a bad price for a generic bar, folks. Still cheaper than a 10th ounce gold. I think silver's more undervalued than anything out there. I think silver's got more room to grow. I think most of you will agree with me on that statement. Look, again, I'm not a financial advisor. I can only try to tell you what I'm thinking in my head at the time. Do I like gold? Yes. Do I own gold? No, I own some gold backs. That's a whole different story because a lot of people don't seem to understand the preems. You get the preems back with the gold backs. But I've tried to do those videos in the past. And some people get, a lot of people get it, some people don't get it, and the ones that don't get it, I don't understand it because I've tried to explain that as best way I can with the gold backs. Yes, the lower the amount of gold you buy, the more of a preem. But with the gold backs, keep this in mind now, with the gold backs, the preem carries with you. If you bought a 10th ounce gold today, right now, from channel sponsor Pimbex at $369.99. You had to sell it tomorrow. You had to sell it after you got it in. You're probably not going to get $369.99, folks. You're probably not going to get that premium back for a little bit until gold goes up a little bit more. Keep that in mind. With the gold backs, you do get the premium back. You always get your premium back with the gold backs. You are really dependent on the gold price. If gold goes up, they go up. Gold goes down, you still get your original premium back, but you're going to lose on what you bought it for because gold went down. That's basically how it works. So, this is not, you know, saying don't buy 10th ounce gold. This is not saying don't buy 1/4 ounce gold. It is what you feel about comfortable buying at the time. So what if the premium's a little higher? That's what some people say. So what if the premium's a little higher? I understand because I'm buying a small amount of gold at a time. If people want some access to gold and they don't have $3,000, 10th ounce, 1/4 ounce is probably the best way to go, folks, for yourself if you want a little gold in your portfolios. But again, it's not financial advice. As I'm really trying to explain this the best way as I can. So let's move forward. You know, you guys seen the Pimbex prices. I just want to give another shout out to Pimbex. Thank you again, Pimbex, for sponsoring CoinShop Chris. Thank you to the viewer out there because it's not possible without you. Oftentimes, folks, they have the best price available. I've shown that. I've proven that on this channel several times. Even way before they offered the sponsorship to me. So, for the ones who've been around for a while, before even the Pimbex sponsorship, you guys see me. You guys seen it. Pimbex normally has the best price on most of their items out there. Let me get into pawn shops for a moment. Couple people have commented in the comment section, you gotta warn people about the pawn shops, they rip you up. Look, you know, if that's what you believe, that is fine. But at the end, and I'm not defending pawn shops, okay? I'm not defending pawn shops in any single which way. The problem with pawn shops is they're in business to make money too, as anybody else. Maybe the pawn shop owner, the staff, is not, they need to know a little bit about everything. Meaning, they need to know a little bit about silver and gold, they need to know about electronics, they need to know about lawn care equipment, jewelry, you know, whatever they decide to dabble in and sell in their shops. Maybe art, maybe appliances, good used appliances, whatever the case may be. They need to know a little bit about everything. And pawn shops are there to help people when they're in need of money. Quick cash, out the door. Yeah. They're in their minds. This is what I'm thinking. This may not be the holy truth. In their minds, they're thinking, how fast am I going to be able to flip this? I'm putting X, Y, Z amount into this item I might be hanging on to for 3 or 4 months. When they're buying silver or gold from you folks, you know, they're thinking the same thing. I might be hanging on to this. I don't know where the market's going. They're not really into the market themselves. I tell you, pawn shops are good if you need a loan. You can pay the loan fee, of course. They're not going to give you the full value. It's a loan for that section. Maybe you turn around and sell it. No, it's probably one of your worst places you could sell silver, gold, platinum to a pawn shop. Probably one of your worst places to do it, folks. Maybe one of the better places to buy it at times, because it may be a little bit cheaper in the long run. Not all the time. Sometimes they jack it up so high it's way over spot, way over any coin shop that's close to you, way over the online bone dealers, depending on the pawn shop itself. So yes, buyer be warned everywhere. Again, if you don't like the price you're being offered to sell it, you don't have to sell it. It always takes 2 people to get so-called ripped off. If you accept it, then you accept it. But if you really don't like the price, you got to remember the pawn shop's there to make money too. They need to know a little bit about every single item they sell. They're not in the market to sell silver and gold. They're really not. And that's this way it is. And I'm not defending them at all. You know, there is a YouTuber out there. You know, he has a trading post. I like the guy a lot. I'm not going to mention the channel name, because I'm going to kind of give him a hard time on this one. You know, someone brought in the gold coin. He offered them $300 below spot or $500 below spot, whatever it was. It was quite a bit. And I'm like, really? You're going to pay that low? And I'm starting to think, why is he paying that low? Then he kind of described why he's paying that low. He said, look, I got to make money too. I don't know where the market's going to go from one day to the next. Kind of got a point there. How many people walk into a pawn shop or a thrift store or whatever else they want to call these shops, and people buying silver and gold? I get that side of the thing too. So trading post, that's another word I'm supposed to look for. Look, these type of businesses are there to help people out in time of need. They're willing to pay for you. They're willing to buy your stuff. Yes, they're not going to give you the full price. They're not going to get close to a coin shop prices. You know, they're there for convenience, and people just need to be wary of that and cautious of it. Yeah, don't get yourself ripped off. Because if you accept the offer, then who did it to who? It's not remember, it's an offer. And I hope people understand that. And again, I'm not backing up these coin shops. I was appalled of that offer when I heard this on this one particular video this guy did. I was appalled. But he also goes in on his other videos and he says, look, I need to make money too. I'm going to buy it for this. I'm going to buy it for 100. I'm going to try to flip it for 200. It does not mean he's going to make $100 off that item. Someone could walk in his shop and say, will you take $160 for it? He's trying to get $200 out of it. You know, you got to stay in business too. So if someone took $160 on a particular item that he bought it for $100, yeah, he made 60% profit, but it may have been sitting there for 9 months. I just hope people understand that point of view. Let's end with silver, folks. You know, I love silver. I love the 90% silver all day long. You see some 10-ounce bars, you see some 5-ounce bars, you see some graded coins. I don't want to get too much into the graded coins today, but what I want to talk about is the graded coins. You know, some people like them, some people don't. They can be costly. They can also be very interesting. And what I mean by that, take a look at this one for an example. I've shown this one a couple times on the channel. One of the first 5,000 struck. This coin has a value of about $165. Roughly. MS-70 coin. 1 ounce silver. One of 5,000 struck. Got the label on it from NGC. From Australia. One of Australian's Kookaburra with the shock privy mark on top of it. I got it for $52, folks. It was probably last year. Silver's gone up. The value has gone up a little bit. Did I get a deal? It was an auction on eBay. It was not a buy it now, make an offer. I got it for an auction. I think I did all right with it. I've shown this to a couple customers of mine. They want to buy it for the book that value, and I'm refusing to sell it. They said, we need that for this collection. I refuse to sell it. I'm happy I have it. They're hard to get. Maybe one day I will sell it. Not right now. So it's more of a collector's item. Yeah, you can say that. But I didn't feel like I paid for the case. The grading service. Yeah, I paid up for it a little bit. But really, I got a good deal on the back side of it. All we do is research, folks. I got another coin, signature signed. Hand signed. I don't remember what I paid for this one. But it was a lot lower than the value of the coin itself. That's what I look for. The value of the coin itself. The label brings a pull on the money as well, folks. On the fiat currency, I should say. Label says a lot. Sometimes, you know, yeah, you pay for the label as well. But I still got a good deal on that coin too. I do have a few graded coins. A little bit more than a few, I should say. I dabble in them every now and then. When I see a good buy on something, I'll put a bid on it. A lot of them I get outbidded, folks. But a lot of times when I was really into them, I was winning one after another, because people weren't paying attention back then. The market's starting to change a little bit. The market's starting to come back into some of these graded coins. You know, don't pay for the label. Don't pay for the case. Pay for the coin itself. Because if you look at the raw on these, I paid about the same price for raw than I did for the graded coin at the time I bought this one. So I didn't pay really nothing for the label. I didn't pay nothing for the case itself. I paid for the coin at the going rate at that time. If you folks have any questions for me about silver, gold, or platinum, reach out to me. My email is always in the description of every single video. Thank you for watching. Coin Shop Chris is out. Catch you this afternoon's video.